UFC 297 Strickland versus Du Plessis. We're going to break down this card. We're going to talk about all the fighters. I'm going to give you my best picks for this card. I'm going to tell you which parlays I'm going to do. I'm going to give you all that info. Now, just before we start that, I want to go over Ankalaev versus Walker. We had two fights that were changed. So the first fight is Preston Parsons and Basil Hafez. So Hafez withdrew, and we got Preston Parsons taking on. He's taking Matthew Semelsberger. We're gonna break down this fight, and another fight that changed is who we have here. So it is, So Felipe Bones, he's gonna fight Joshua Van instead of Bondar. So let's break down first these two fights. Now, before we continue, guys, I'm new here in the MMA betting, in the MMA YouTube stuff. I'm telling you, I'm serious, I'm committed. I'm going to be one of the biggest channels in the coming years. I would appreciate if you could subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. It helps me. So I would really appreciate that. Now, let's start with the first fight. So, Felipe and Joshua Van. I like Joshua Van here. Like I said before, Felipe is more of a jiu-jitsu guy. Most of his wins are coming from submission, and his striking is not that impressive. And guys, we've seen Joshua Van, especially in his last fight, how good he is, both with his wrestling and takedowns and his striking. And he went against a really good striker, which is Kevin Borjas. Borjas looked phenomenal in the first round. Actually, he had Borjas as the bet. But as the second round came, just Joshua Van, like a demon, came inside him, and he became unstoppable, and he won the second and third round. I like Van here. I see him taking him down and just ground and pounding, or just keeping it striking and knocking him out. Felipe. Joshua Van is the pick for this change. For the other card that was changed, if we look at Matthew Semelsberger and Preston Parsons. So Matthew Semelsberger is a striker. He's a very strong striker. He has real power in his hands. But his problem is takedown defense and the way he fades from about in the mid of the second round and the third round. We saw what happened with Medic. He looked good in the first round, but Medic knocked him out at the later rounds. And Medic is a striker. Now, Parsons, he can strike, but his main thing is his grappling. If we're going to go and look at Parsons. So where is Parsons? Yeah, right here. So if we're going to look at Preston Parsons, he has most of his wins by submission. And I'm telling you, I see him submitting Semelsberger. I don't like how Semelsberger looked in his last fight. And he won against Elder, which is a really good striker, fast striker. So I just see Preston winning here. Now, with that being said, let's move on to UFC 297 Strickland versus Du Plessis. So first we have Jasmine Jasudavicius against Priscila. I'm not gonna say her last name. When we look at both of the fighters, style-wise, Jasmine, she's a wrestler. She's gonna keep the pressure coming on again and again. And Priscila, she's a very durable striker. She's a good striker. She holds power in her hands. She has a lot of wins by knockout, and she was never knocked out. The problem with Priscila is she's not that good when it comes to her grappling. She's getting troubles in the ground, and we saw she lost to Miranda Maverick by armbar in her last fight. And you know, Jasmine, she's she's gonna keep moving forward for 3 rounds, and she's gonna take you down to the ground and control and ground and pound and might submit. So I like Jasmine Jasudavicius. I just think that she's durable enough to manage Priscila striking, and she's a good enough of a wrestler to take Priscila down to the mat and control her and win probably by decision. When we look at the fight odds for where is that? So this is for the Ankalaev Walker. When we look at the odds for her, where is that? Where is she? Yeah, so you get 1.31 for Jasmine. I don't know if I'm gonna lay any bet on her, just because, you know, she's too big of a favorite. I don't know if it's worth the risk, but I see her winning in a hard-fought decision where she's getting most of the control time. Next fight, we got Charles Jourdain and Sean Woodson. I'll tell you what, when we look at both of these guys, Sean Woodson, he is a striker. He's coming from a boxing history. He is a boxer, and he's fighting at 145, but look at this guy reach and height. He has a very long reach. He's really good with his boxing. His last fight, he won against Dennis Bazooka. He was dominating the entire 3 rounds against Bazooka. He was just sniping him with his striking. And when I see him fighting against the guys like Charles Jourdain, I like Jourdain as a fighter. I think he's a high IQ fighter. He won. He had a submission against Ricardo Ramos. He had a win against Kron Gracie. And it's gonna be a hard fight for me to bet on, just because Sean Woodson, he's hard to take down, and the 9-inch reach advantage is gonna be a problem for Jourdain, because Jourdain has decent striking, but managing that distance, I don't know how he's gonna work with that. We're gonna see the fight in Canada that favors Jourdain, but I don't know. This is gonna be a problematic. I'm gonna say Sean Woodson is gonna win, just because of his reach and striking, boxing, and he has a really good takedown defense. So I'm gonna pick Sean Woodson. It's not something I'm probably gonna bet on. I might do a live bet depending on how Jourdain looks in the second round. Woodson is my pick. You're getting Woodson for how much? So you're getting him for 2.6 as an underdog. I think that's a good value. He's gonna be my pick for this card. Next fight, we got Yohan Lainesse against Sam Patterson. So Patterson, in his last fight, he got knocked the fuck out by Yanal Ashmus. He just knocked him to another dimension. And this wasn't the first knockout loss Sam Patterson had endured. He already got knocked out in the past, again, first round. And I just don't like putting money on Chinese fighters. I just hate it. So, obviously, I'm not going to bet on him. He's a good striker. He has a good reach advantage, 78. The span, 78-inch reach. For his weight class, that's good. But he's fighting against Yohan. And Yohan, he's a strong striker. Like, he has heavy hands and good grappling as well. So I just don't see any way I'm gonna bet on Sam, just because Yohan, he's a pressure fighter. He's probably gonna look for that knockout, and this fight is gonna be too risky for me. So my pick is gonna be under. I just see this fight ending as an under, and probably a knockout by Yohan. That's my pick. Next fight, we got Malcolm Gordon and Jimmy Flick. So both of these fighters, they are not, I'll tell you what, they're not strikers. Both of them are kind of a grapplers, not the best fighters in their division. Both coming off 2-loss streak. He got knocked out by Charles Johnson and Alessandro Costa, and this guy got submitted by Mokaev and got knocked out by Jake Hadley. This is a stay away from me. What I will say is they have a similar style. Both of them prefer grappling than striking. I'll say that Flick has the upper hand when it comes to his grappling. So I'm just going to pick Flick or the under. That's my pick. I don't know if I'm going to bet this one. But I'm seeing Flick win just because both are grapplers. And Flick is just the better grappler. So I'll pick Flick for this fight. How much we're getting for him. So we're getting for Flick. We're getting him as an underdog. And Yohan is also in really good odds. So that's my pick for this card. Next fight, we got Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriault. The thing here is we got Chris Curtis, and Chris Curtis is great in his striking when you put pressure on him. He's a defensive striker. And Andre, he's a forward pressure kind of guy. Now, I'll be honest, I like Curtis here just because he has really good striking, and I didn't like the way he was looking against Imavov just because Imavov was winning until that clash of heads. Imavov was winning. And he had a really good fight against Gastelum, who looked terrible against Brady. But, when you look at a fighter like the pressure that Marc-Andre can give you, I don't know. It's going to be a hard one for me to pick. But I'm going to go with Curtis just because he had the better competition when it comes to who he fought against. And I think his experience is going to give him the edge here. So my pick is Curtis for this fight. I see him winning. Not saying it's going to be an easy fight. I'll say that the safer bet here would be taking the over. We know that Chris Curtis is not going to get knocked out. He can knock out Mark, but I don't think that's going to happen here. So I'll pick Curtis or the over. That's my pick for this fight. Next fight, we got Sidey against Ramon Taveras. Both of these fighters already fought on Contender Series. And I picked Sidey in the first fight they had in Contender. And I'm going to pick Sidey again in this fight, especially when he's fighting in Canada. I'll tell you why. Sidey is a very good fighter everywhere. He has good striking, and he also has good grappling, especially. I'd say that his grappling is better than his striking. Now, Ramon Taveras, he's a very good striker. His striking, his advantage. Okay? And the thing is, Sidey was winning in the striking department. Yeah, I would say that it was an early stoppage by the referee in that fight. However, he would finish him a few minutes later on the ground just because he has a really good control, really good ground and pound, Sidey, and he's durable. I'll tell you what, like the second fight that Ramon Taveras had against Cortavius Romeus, the only reason Cortavius lost is because he has 0 IQ as a fighter at that fight. He was trying to strike with a good striker while Cortavius is a good grappler. And he tried to strike with a striker, and that's why he lost. The thing about Sidey can strike, and he can also grapple. So I'm picking Sidey. I'd say this is one of my most confident picks in this card. Sidey to win. I'm going to take the money line, but it's probably going to do it by finish against Taveras, which he lost as an amateur in his by knockout, by the way, in a different fight against a 5'5" fighter at 2021. So again, I told you I don't like chinny fighters. I'm doubting Taveras' chin, and that's why I'm gonna pick Sidey to win. Next fight, who we got? Let's see. So we got next fight. We got, how much are we getting for Sidey, by the way? I'm interested. Probably 1.54. I like the odds. I think that these are good odds against Taveras. I like Sidey here. He's a very, I've seen this guy. I've done a bit of research on him. He's a very serious. He takes everything very seriously. I'm not saying Ramon isn't, but I think that Sidey can be a ranked fighter. He can easily get to the top 5 in the future. He's still young, and I just don't see him anywhere else. Let's continue. So who we got next? UFC 297. We got Gillian Robertson against Polyana Viana. Let's talk about both of these fighters. First of all, both of them are grapplers. Both of them have good jiu-jitsu. Who has the better jiu-jitsu? Gillian Robertson. She has the better jiu-jitsu. In her last fight, she fought against Baby Shark Tabitha Ricci. And Tabitha Ricci won because she kept the fight on the feet. That's why she won. With that being said, I don't think Polyana Viana is going to manage to keep this fight on the feet. She got submitted by Jasmine Lucindo, which she's not that good of a grappler. She's more of a striker, and she got submitted by her. When you look at Robertson, she's much bigger than Jasmine, and she's a far better grappler. She even won against Rose Namajunas when we're naked show grappling. So she's my pick. I'm saying she's probably gonna win by submission. That's my pick. She lost 2 times already by submission. Mrs. Polyana. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but that's my pick. I like her to win this fight. How much we're getting for her? Where is she? Polyana Viana. So we're getting 1.56 for Robertson. I think that's decent odds. I see her winning. So that's gonna be my pick. Next fight, we got Brett Katona against Garrett Armfield. So we've seen Katona in his last fight against Cody Gibson. That was a war. That was a real true war. And I like Katona here. I just think that his durability, his experience, his striking is going to be too much for Garrett. I just think it's going to be too much for him. Both are strikers, okay? And Garrett is a good striker. He has power in his hands. And if Katona is going to be smart, he's going to take it to the mat and going to submit. Because I don't know if he could really take on the damage for 3 rounds again. Same damage he had against Gibson. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I think I see Katona being a smarter fighter here, taking this fight to the mat and submitting Garrett, where we saw he already got submitted by David Onama, which is a good fighter, but I don't see his grappling as something very serious. Like I'm not impressed by his grappling. I think Brad Katona can definitely win by submission. That's why I'm gonna pick him to win. Probably if I'm gonna take a bet, he's gonna be money line, but I see a submission here by Katona. Next fight, we got Dominick Reyes against Carlos Ulberg. I'm not lucky with Ulberg. Like, last fight, I picked him to win by knockout or by decision against Jourdain. And he decided at the few last seconds of the fight to submit him. And I had a big bet on him, and that really pissed me off. With that being said, Dominick Reyes, I'll give him his respect. He's a good fighter. He fought against some of the best. But lately, he's just getting knocked out again and again and again. And it starts to look like Tony Ferguson all over again. With all due respect. Carlos Ulberg, his game, his striking. He's a phenomenal kickboxer. He's only lost against Kennedy was because he gassed in the second round. He was dominating up to that point. And his striking is too good. I see him winning probably by knockout against Reyes. I'm just, again, guys, I can't put money on chinny fighters. I just can't. So, both are strikers. And Dominick Reyes, he fought against the best of the best. And I really think that Ulberg striking is on the same level of the guys he lost against, even if not more. That's why I like Ulberg, probably by knockout, to win. I just think that he's the better striker. He's the better striker, and he looks better. He's coming off a 5-win streak, and Dominick just lost his last 4. So I'm gonna pick Ulberg to win in this one. I like him more in this matchup. Next fight, we have Arnold Allen against Movsar. This is gonna be a tricky one. What we'll need to see, and I'm probably do a live bet on this one. Movsar is a phenomenal wrestler. He has that, I'd say, the Dagestani style wrestling, although he's not from Dagestan. He has the same wrestling style. He has that forward pressure. He has that mentality. And the question here would be if he would manage to take Arnold Allen to the ground. That's the question. If he manages to take Arnold Allen to the ground and strike with him and keep him there, it's Movsar all day. If Arnold Allen defends the takedowns against Movsar, it's Arnold Allen all day, because Arnold Allen has better striking than Movsar. Movsar had a really tough fight against Lopez. He was like a -1,000 against Lopez. Lopez came in an 8-day notice, short notice, and Lopez, like, he was about to he almost submitted Movsar like 3 times. Just Movsar, with his mentality and his flexibility, he managed to somehow survive. I just don't know if Allen can stay on the feet with Movsar. That's gonna be the question here, because Allen has the better striking. Like, even Diego Lopez, which is a grappler, he was a problem for Movsar on the feet. That's why he took him down all the time. So I'd say that Movsar's gonna win, because his grappling is that good. His takedowns are that good. I see him taking down Allen, and Arnold Allen has really good takedown defense. But I see Movsar taking down Arnold Allen. So I'll pick Movsar to win. With that being said, I'm not gonna pick him until I see him actually taking down Allen. So that's probably gonna be a live bet for me. I'd say that the over here is very live as well. I don't see Arnold Allen submitting or knocking out Movsar. So the over is live here as well for this fight. Next fight, we got Raquel Pennington against Mayra Bueno Silva. I'll tell you something about Pennington, especially about her last fight against Caitlin Vieira. She lost that fight. And Raquel, she's a good striker. I say that she's a better striker than she is a grappler. And she's not packing any power. The problem for her is that Mayra Bueno Silva, she's a menace with her jiu-jitsu, with her grappling. She was never submitted. She was never knocked out. Obviously, I don't see Pennington submitting her. And although that fight was taken from her against Holly Holm, she was fine. They found her taking drugs or something. I just don't see her winning against... I don't see her losing against Pennington. Anything can happen. Like, Pennington, she has good takedown defense, and she got submitted only once in the second round against... Who was that? She got submitted long time ago against Kat Zingano in Invicta. So I'm not super confident in this pick, because Pennington might win by decision. She knows how to win rounds. But I think that Mayra submission game is too good. It's just too good. Win by armbar, win by knee bar. She got Holly Holm by submission, standing submission. And Raquel likes to clinch. I say Mayra by submission. That's my pick for this fight. Let me know your opinion in the comments. Guys, if you watched until this moment, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all of you. That would really help the algorithm to spread this out there to the YouTube realm. So again, I really appreciate each and every one of you watching the video and getting up to this point. Now let's go to the middleweight championship. Sean Strickland against Dricus du Plessis. I like the underdog in this fight. I like Dricus du Plessis to win, and I'll explain why. Just before I'll explain why, let's look at the odds. We got Dricus is an underdog, 2.08, and Strickland as the favorite. Now, Strickland is a phenomenal striker. He is a good boxer. And he has a weird style. Like, his style of fighting is weird. Now, Dricus du Plessis, he has a very weird style as well. But after seeing him against Whittaker, where I chose Whittaker to win and I got fucked because Plessis just manhandled him, I don't see Dricus winning. He fixed his nose, and now apparently his stamina is much better, which was a problem for him in some of his last fights against Taveras, for example, and Green. So, the question here, will Strickland manage to survive the first rounds? Because Strickland can get knocked out. He can get out, I'd say stricken. But he had really good competition, like losing to Cannonier is nothing to be ashamed of. Again, losing to Alex Pereira is nothing to be ashamed of. But I just think that Dricus, his style, his pressure is going to be too much for Strickland. And we saw, like, for example, when he fought against Abus Magomedov won the first round. He kept pressuring him, and Strickland didn't know what to do, but he gassed, and in the second round, Strickland finished him. But I don't think it's going to happen with du Plessis. I see du Plessis has more power in his hands, and he's a better fighter overall compared to Magomedov. So I say Dricus by finish. I don't think he's going to let the fight reach the fourth and the fifth round just because he knows that Strickland has the gas tank to go to those fights, to those rounds, and I don't think du Plessis can get to those rounds. So stylistic-wise, du Plessis has like those weird judo throws, and he has good ground and pound, and he's good in his grappling as well. But Sean Strickland can get up. That's one thing he does really good. I'll still pick du Plessis. I think getting him as an underdog is gonna be. That's where the value is. I will say that we saw it in the press conference. He managed to get under Sean Strickland's skin, and I don't know how Strickland is gonna fight. He's not even like really hungry for keeping the belt. He said, I'm here for the money. I'm not saying that's gonna change anything in his manner against du Plessis because he really hates the guy. But du Plessis managed to get under his skin, and I don't know if it's gonna favor Strickland in this fight. With that being said, du Plessis is my pick for this card, UFC 297. Guys, let me know your opinion in the comments below. What's your pick? Who you like, who you don't like? Now let's go for the parlay section. I got some comments from you guys. I enjoy reading your comments and getting and listening to your valued comments. So if you see any way I can improve with these videos, I appreciate that. I'm gonna give you one parlay I like here. It's gonna be a safety parlay, I'll say. I like Serhiy City to win. I like Mike. Wait, I didn't. Why did I didn't? Guys, I missed Mike Malott and Neil Magny. Apologize. Let me get it real quick. For some reason, I just skipped that fight. Yeah, Neil Magny and Mike Malott. Mike Malott all day. I think we really saw how good Mike Malott is in his last fight against Adam Fugit. He's a monster. He has really good grappling. I see him as a future contender in the 170 division. I like Mike Malott to win, and he's probably going to win by finish. Magny is 36 years old. He looked bad against Ian Gary. Like, Ian Gary destroyed his legs. And, 3 losses in his last 5 fights. I don't see him surviving against a guy like Malott, whose grappling is really good. He lost by submission to Shavkat. He lost by submission to Burns. And he's going to lose by submission to Mike Malott. My pick is Malott by sub all day. With that being said, going to the safety parlay, I like Sidey. I like Malott. And I like the over for Allen and Movsar whenever the prop's gonna come out. That's a safety parlay I would probably take. If we talk about only fighters, I like Malott. I like Serhiy, and I like Robertson. That would be my safety parlay for this card. Guys, again, if you enjoyed the video, please like it, comment. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have any other suggestions, write them down in the comment section. I would love to improve the quality of these videos. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next one.